That would be the switch that I need to use. All right. Once again, it is 7 o'clock. Welcome to this edition of the D7 Toastmasters Pathways Virtual Support Academy with myself, James Wantz. Tonight, we are going over some basic interactive functionality about Basecamp and a few questions that were posed to me over the last week, people dealing with Basecamp and having questions about it. I'm going to start with a basic introduction to Pathways as far as how to get there and to choose your own first path. For those of you who have done this already, it's going to be completely redundant, I'm sure, but for those of you who have not, this could very well be helpful. Now, we set it, so there we go. We're now looking at a shot of Toastmasters International webpage where I have logged in. Back when Pathways started on September 19th, they sent me an email, and I clicked on the email and came in here and set up my own very first path. Logged into Toastmasters International through their page. Right in the center at the top is where your login, log out is. And then when you click on the Educational tab, it brings up the Pathways Learning Experience and that friendly red button that says Begin Your Journey. At that point, you would click on the Begin Your Journey, and if you would be brought to this Start Pathways page with 3 blue boxes: the Navigator, Choose Your Path, and Pathways Basecamp. The Navigator on the left launches the interactive version of the Navigator, which explains how Pathways interacts with the club experience. Talks about the various club roles, the officer roles that there are, explains a bit about interacting with Basecamp, and has some tips about handling nervousness and other issues with providing your first and ongoing public speeches. The second column is where we're focusing, which is the Choose Your Path right now. As you can see, there are 2 options, yourself or another member. Most people will click on the yourself option and then continue to path selection. If you happen to be an officer and you are entering a path for somebody else in your club who is elected to go with printed materials, then you would want to click on the Another Member tab and then enter their information for that path so that they could receive their printed materials. At that point, they would have no access to Basecamp at all. But that is what that button is for, is to enter order information for someone else in your club who has decided to receive printed materials and not interact with Basecamp. So if they are going to interact with Basecamp, then you want them to do it on their own so that they have the link and they can get right in and start working on it. Once you click on the Continue to Path selection, it offers you the option to go with Basecamp or printed materials, and this is for yourself. Clearly, the recommended option is Basecamp, where you have full interactivity with the Basecamp on the Toastmasters International webpage. It is also, if this is your first path, it is free. Any path beyond this would be $20. If you decide to go with printed materials as opposed to using Basecamp and going online, you would get your manuals in a bound and printed form mailed to you in the mail in sets. They would send the first and second levels, then wait for you to complete those and turn them in. Then they would send you your 3rd level. You would complete that. Then they would send the 4th and the 5th. They don't send them all at the same time so that you can work sequentially through the level system just as you would on Basecamp.
Hi, can you hear me?
Oh, yes, I can hear. Absolutely. Welcome.
Hi. Hi, James. This is Tracy Parker. I'm another guy from that I figured I would join in and invite my club members to join in. Maybe they have a bigger group tonight. I just wanted to say hi and say that I'm here. I think maybe I saw one other person from one of my clubs. I saw their name.
Great. Well, welcome. Welcome.
And I don't know. Thank you. Thanks for inviting us on. And I just was wondering, what is your format for this? I see you're reviewing some of the material. How do you like normally run your sessions?
I usually start with an introduction, in this case, just how to get started in Basecamp. Then I'm going to switch to a little bit more advanced topic, which is how to find the resource materials for speeches for yourself and for others in your club. Then I will open it up for questions, and if there are any questions, we can deal with issues regarding ePortfolio, feedback, uploading. You know, it just kind of goes from there at that point. And then there's also the option of having, let's see, we got chat here. Okay, well, welcome, Philip. Absolutely, thank you very much. So that is the format, and I am open to questions as we go, so please just interrupt. We don't have so many people that that's going to be an issue. So if you have questions as I go, please feel free to ask them, to text them, and I will try to get to them as quickly as possible. Maybe the first question I should start with is, has everyone that is online chosen a path and is in working with Basecamp? Because if so, I could skip over the introductory material.
I know I am.
Okay, absolutely good. And I know Scott has. Philip has. Okay, excellent. And I know Kat has some familiarity with it. So what I'm going to do is skip over the introduction to figuring out your path and doing the self-assessment test to give you that path. So I'm going to switch my share screen to a live shot of desktop, and then we will move right into a live shot of the website. And that's not the website. Okay, here we go. All right, now this bit that I want to share is a little bit more advanced, something that I just discovered this week and will be very helpful because several people were asking about it. The question is where to find the resource materials for your own speech to provide to your evaluator in a club, or if you're evaluating somebody else's speech. There are two different locations you can do that. Right now, I am logging into Basecamp through my home club, New Horizons, log in as a member. Now, there are two different ways to get to the evaluation resources. Probably the one that most of us who have paths are going to be using is to go into our transcript, then open up the curriculum that we are presenting, and then whichever project that we are working on, I'm going to launch the Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring Project, which I just completed. That opens up in a separate window, and there is a page in the curriculum where you're able to print your project, print your evaluation resource, and other materials as well. And while that is opening, it's usually near the end after the assessment. On this, I will expand. It is called Your Evaluation Page. And at the bottom of the pop-up windows is a quick navigator with a down arrow. It will show you all the different sections of your project. And down, usually second to the bottom, is the one called Your Evaluation. That is where you can find a linked evaluation resource. When you click on that, opens up in a new window and provides you with the PDF form that you can download, you can print, etc. This is one way of getting to the evaluation. Now I will show you the other way. The other way, maybe just as easy, under Tutorials and Resources. When you click on the Tutorials and Resources tab, it will bring up a window where you have access to all the little videos and other informational bits about projects within Pathways, and in fact, all across Pathways inside of Toastmasters. You can filter this by, after it loads, oh, it's not giving it to me. How interesting. Usually on the left-hand side, there is a filter that allows you to select evaluation resources, and it is not there. Well, I do know some of the functionality in the Toastmasters website has been set aside because they are launching in a new region, I believe yesterday or today. So as we look at it now, if we move over, no, it's listed it by title. All right, well, this is a new bit because on the left-hand side is usually a link. All right, we're going to try curriculum. Mentor, no, it is not providing me with curriculum. One moment. Those are the online classes, which I do not want. Intriguing. All right, well, I am going to type in the Icebreaker project into the search box and see what we get with that. Okay, Icebreaker brought up no matches. Intriguing. How about introduction to?
Are you logged in as a guide, or
No,
does that even matter?
I am logged in my club.
Mm-hmm.
Project description, and it seems that each time I come into Basecamp, something is slightly different. I suspect that they are updating and changing things. Because just yesterday when I came into tutorials and there it is. It's back again on the left-hand side under subject. You see tutorials, evaluation resources, project descriptions. Okay, so the wide roundabout. You click on the evaluation resource. Oh, I see. They've added French. That was different, so that's a new one. And then I sub-filter that by clicking on the English. That will take out the French and the simplified Chinese. Once you've done that, everything that shows up in that window are evaluation resources listed by project name. Now I'm going down to find the one that I opened in the other window, which is Introduction to Toastmasters Mentoring, which is this evaluation right here. You can click on this and then launch the evaluation, which will launch into its own window. Now, is this providing me with? So those are the two ways you can get to an evaluation form through tutorials and resources. You can also get to the evaluation form through your e-portfolio. What I had discovered previously when doing that, I have the evaluation resource for Icebreaker Toastmasters. And it is currently not doing, which is something different. Okay, good. When I opened the evaluation resource through my own project, it gave me the PDF, but the fields were not editable. And when I opened the same evaluation resource through tutorials and resources, I was able to access a PDF that had editable fields. Now, it is not providing that to me tonight because either my computer is decided that it doesn't want to provide that, or it is simply something else they have changed on their website. So the very fun thing that I was going to show you, I cannot show you because either a user error, or which I suspect was probably my user error. But there are two ways to get to the evaluation resources. So if you are doing an evaluation for a member of your club for a project you are not working on, I suggest going to tutorials and resources and finding that project, which you can then download the evaluation resource for. If you are doing your own speech, I would suggest that you print out your own evaluation to take to your club meeting, and then you can hand that to your evaluator, and then they can fill it out. Then once you have done that, you can decide whether or not you want to upload the evaluation to your e-portfolio. Two different ways of doing that. You can enter this information into the editable PDF file online and save that, or you can scan this and upload it directly. And I just muted, we were getting some background chatter there on the line, so I muted that as well. Was hearing somebody crunching on something. Made me hungry. Once you have your evaluation resources, hover and click home. I mentioned ePortfolio. You can find that under the badges button. And up at the top, you have Basecamp, feedback, transcript, and ePortfolio. If you click on the ePortfolio, this provides you your link to uploaded documents and any badges that you have earned so far. What I have done, because I have completed level 1 and level 2 in presentation mastery at this point, is that I uploaded all of the evaluations for level 1 into my level 1 folder, and then I uploaded all of the evaluations that I received for level 2 into my level 2 folder, so that if I want to open this up, I can open it and see the form that I typed the evaluation that was handwritten and given to me, typed their comments directly into the form, and then saved it into my ePortfolio. I strongly suggest doing that, because if you do that, your Vice President of Education, or whoever is going to be your Basecamp manager, because it could be president or it could be secretary, has access to seeing these documents in your ePortfolio and can thereby verify that you've done the speeches. Now, if you're a member of just one club, that's not going to be necessarily something you may want to do. I'm a member of 3 clubs, and I gave these speeches at all 3 of those to work towards completing that level. So when I asked the VPE of my 1 club to verify it, I let him know that all of my evaluations were in the ePortfolio, and he could therefore go and check those if he wished to have another level of balance, checks and balances on that. And okay, now we got a comment from Serena, the members of your club. Yes, she's asking how you can view all the members of your clubs, but couldn't find how to do that. I had an email exchange with somebody else earlier this week who had that exact same problem. Last week, what I showed you is in the search bar in the upper left, what you could type in is club members and then press the enter button. Now, last night, this was not working for me. Now that I'm at club members, I'm switching to people and then clicking the search button. Okay, it is working now, which told me that last night when they were rolling out for the new region, they had that search function disabled. So you type in club members into the search bar, select people, click the search button, excuse me, my enunciation. Then you have access to everyone in your club that has chosen to have that as their home club. So you can see as I scroll down the list, these are all members of New Horizons Club. Some of them are showing up twice, as I can see. The Sam has 2 pictures in there. So this is how you have access to seeing other people in your club, and then once you select them, you are able to provide them feedback to, once you, like I'm looking at Sam's profile right now, if I click on his feedback tab, I can share my feedback directly with him on a recent project. Or on the very right-hand side, there's this little medallion metal button. You can share and give a badge through doing that. Everyone has access to this, being able to search for your club members. The question is it only available to the VPE, the president, or the secretary? In this club, I am not an officer. So this means that I have access to searching for everybody. That means that a regular member does. So I'm not a VPE, I'm not president, secretary, or anything in this particular club. So this is just my home club where I am not an elected official, and I have access to being able to see all of the search, being able to search everybody in the club. Well, no, I don't want to search. I want to search club members. Club members. Members. My fingers aren't working. I do apologize if I'm a little rummy. I believe I'm coming down with a cold or something much worse. But thankfully, because we are online, you will not be infected. unless I give you a digital virus, but I don't believe that's possible. Club members, then change it to people, click the search button, and there you have access to everybody in the club that you are a member of. Now, one caveat is you don't have access to people who may be a member of your club and a member of another club if they have decided that the other club is their home club. So if they're logged in another club, they will not show up in this search. But if most everyone in your club is a member of your club, then you're going to have access to all of them. The vast majority of the people in this club that I'm seeing here are a member of just this one club. So that's why they're showing up. Now, just because they're in this list does not mean that they have started a path. There are lots of people that I'm looking at in this list that I know have not started in Pathways. Toastmasters downloads the club's membership list, and that is who you are seeing when you look at this, is every single member of that club. Okay, and then we have another question of how this search function is different than Basecamp Manager, and that I am not able to answer because I do not know what the Basecamp Manager can see, because I am not a Basecamp Manager and don't have that functionality. So I don't know what they can see when they do their searches for clubs. That would be a good question for the VPE or a president or secretary of a club. You know, we could definitely sit down and see that.
The main reason I'm asking,
yes,
is because I can look at my club and I don't see all of our members. There's actually a member that isn't listed on our club, but they're a paid member of our club. But
are
they
they
aren't
a member of another club?
They're only a member of this club. This is their only club.
Okay. Have you tried searching just for their name?
Haven't yet.
Okay. There's a possibility that, considering we just hit renewals period, some people may not have renewed at the beginning of October, and the way the new system is set up, they immediately drop off as an unpaid member, and they have to put in a new application. So if they didn't renew as of the 1st of October, then they may not show up.
They were renewed. So,
it could be other technical difficulties too.
Yeah. Okay.
And then the comment from Philip is maybe they had not signed into Pathways. Well, this is showing me, because this gentleman right here that I'm hovering over, Abraham Shandy, I know has not signed into Pathways because he currently moved back to India and is no longer in our club, and I don't believe is doing, he left before Pathways rolled out. So it's showing me everybody in my club, regardless of whether or not they have signed into Pathways, is what I'm getting on my search list. All right, thanks, Philip. Okay, and then from Kat. Okay, her question is that, do you see members who have, you don't see members who choose another club as their home club for Pathways, which is correct, but you do see members who have not chosen a path. This is also correct. So in this club, Phyllis Harmon, for those of you who know Phyllis, she's a member of this club. And if I go back up to my search, if I type her name in, I would say with about 90% certainty so that is not going to find her, because she has listed her home club as a different club. And it's not finding anything. So usually it says cannot find, so I'm going to try in this search box right here. Yeah, there's our little spinning wheel. And it's not spinning. There it goes. Yeah, so it didn't find Phyllis. Even though she's a member of that club, she is logged in, I believe, right now under Toastmasters. And if you have a member in your club that's a member of several, depending on which club they choose to log into Basecamp as, will be where you can see and interact with them. So only when they are logged into your club are you able to see their profile, offer them feedback, or provide them badges? Excellent question. All right, so I ran through a couple of the options for finding evaluation resources and how to search club names. Are there any questions? And I will unmute there. I'm unmuted. There we go. Does anyone have, and there's a chat question.
No.
The question is there a way to build or create meeting agendas in Pathways? And no. At this point, Pathways is primarily set up for the member. This is the member's experience with doing their own path. Pathways hasn't been designed to be a club base in the sense of like Easy Speak or Free Toast Host, which are two sites that where you can set up agendas and schedule meeting roles. Pathways is primarily just the education and offering of the education program, as opposed to the administrative structuring of putting together your meetings. They encourage you to use another, outside of that, whether you set up your meetings in Excel or just have somebody with a notebook, or the clubs I'm in use Easy Speak or Free Toast Host. All right, thank you. And one more. Okay, I don't see.
Well, I think that we're going to have to take this question up with Pathways at Toastmasters International then, because Kat, who's actually on the call here, she doesn't show up as a member of our club, and she's paid. She paid in September. She's an officer. She's a Pathways guide. I don't know why she's not showing up. It's her only club.
Okay, well, that may be the very issue right there. If she's a Pathways guide, if she's logged into Basecamp as a Pathways guide, you will not see her in your club.
Okay.
Because that is an option. And I will go back to the initial page here. On the right-hand side, you see the select a club. If I do the drop-down, Pathways guide is one of the options. So if I was to log in as a Pathways guide, nobody in my clubs could see or interact with me, but I could interact with other Pathways guides. So what I'll do is I'll switch to a Pathways guide and see if I can bring up a search for Kat. Because if she shows up under a guide, then we will know. Person, which is interesting. Kaushik is showing up again. And clicking on the search button does, there we go, now we're searching. Custom error module does not recognize this error. That's interesting. I've never had that one before. Okay.
I can bring out the really good errors.
That's good. Apparently, Kat, when you search for your name, it brings up a computer error. Or it could very well be, which I know Pathways does have an issue when I log out of one club and log back into another. It does have a problem with me doing that. Oftentimes what I'll have to do is go completely out, come back into Toastmasters and re-log in. So now that I'm in, let's try that one more time. We'll go back to Pathways, begin your journey. I'm logging in as a Pathways guide. And hitting the enter button doesn't do anything, so I'll click the search icon. There is Kat right there. She is logged in as a Pathways guide. So this would explain why Serena wasn't able to see her in the club. So this is one of those pieces that if you're trying to interact with somebody who doesn't show up in your club, it may be that they're logged in as something else. And if they don't have any other clubs or any other roles, then you will, then it could be a technical glitch at that point. All right. Are there any other questions that we have? Oh, I see Serena popped out and popped back in again.
I do have a question.
Yes, go for it.
Mostly about when you're partway through the old educational system but you want to start using the new pathways. How really do they intertwine? Like if I have my competent communicator, I have my CL, I have advanced leadership bronze, a couple leadership activities. But I would like to start using pathways now, and I'm really not clear how that all matches up when you're going towards your DTM.
Okay, from my understanding, Pathways is a standalone, and the current program is its own standalone, so you can work both programs simultaneously. There are certain upper level, how should we say, requirements for a DTM, one of which being serving 1 full year as a district officer. Toastmasters International has said that once you serve that 1 full year, you could use that year as credit in Pathways, or you could use that year as credit in the current program. You cannot use it in both programs. So once you have attributed one completed task, to either Pathways or the traditional program, you can then not also attribute that to the other program.
Right.
Did that answer your question sufficiently?
Yeah, that's what I was kind of thinking. I was thinking, to do the advanced communication series, if you could do some of the Pathways speeches or projects in lieu of that. But I was under the impression of the same thing you really just said. I figured double checking it would be a good idea.
Absolutely. And I have completed the 2nd level now of the presentation mastery, so I'm going to be getting into the meat of the different elective programs that are available in Pathways, which is the piece that I'm really excited about. So I know that those aren't offered in the traditional program, and that's why I've switched over full steam into Pathways.
Right. I know, it's exciting. I want to start using Pathways right away, but I also want to get my DTM. So I think I'll probably have to do both series, or both programs.
Okay, excellent. All right. Well, I have a question from Philip. When completing a project like an icebreaker, is the member able to indicate that they have completed the project? Yes. And does Pathways look for an evaluation to show up? No. Does the VPE need to somehow verify in order for a member to be credited? No. I'll go into my educational transcript. I'm going to open the presentation mastery curriculum that I've been working on, and then I will step into level 1. When you yourself are doing your path, everything inside of the level is you and you alone. It's you opening the curriculum, walking through the curriculum, completing the project, and with each of the speeches, as you step through the curriculum, it will provide you a pre-assessment and a post-assessment. So you do your pre-assessment before you give your speech, and then once you give the speech, you come back and you give a post-assessment. Once you have entered the values for the post-assessment, Pathways will mark the project as complete. So once I entered the values for the post-assessment on my icebreaker speech, and I'm opening that right now, it marked the icebreaker as complete inside of Presentation Mastery. This marking of the completion is not up to the VPE at all. And after your speech. So this is the after your speech section. And receive feedback. Whoops, I must have missed the assessment piece. Review. Complete. Yeah, it's in here somewhere. I'm backing up a few pages to try and find it. Timing, pacing, preparing, writing. Okay, I'm not seeing that. I wonder if it goes away since I completed it. It doesn't show me those numbers anymore. That may be, very well may be. Review and apply. Well, once you get to the screen that says complete your assignment. Oh, there it is, your evaluation. Yay, there it is. Assess your skills afterwards. So it's showing me the numbers that I put in afterwards. And because I stepped through and did this already, and once you do your assess your skill afterwards, you get a congratulatory window. And then that project is marked off inside of Pathways. You get a little checkbox on that project. You work your way through each of the projects, getting those checkboxes, and the last project in every single level is called the level completion. As you can see on the bottom here, it's level 1 completion presentation mastery. Once all the other projects are checked off, you can then click on, it's not going to let me launch because I've already done this one. It will have a mark complete. And once you click the mark complete, it sends you a message saying this has been, an email has been sent to your VPE for them to verify. At that point, the VPE needs to go into Basecamp Manager, into the inner workings of Basecamp Manager, wherever that is, and check off that you have completed your level. Once that has happened, you are then able to go into the next level. If they have not completed it off, and as you can see on level 2, status completed, I am now able to open level 3. Until my VPE had done that, I wasn't even able to, I could come in and look at these projects, but I could not activate them yet. So hopefully that answered your question.
But you said that the VPE has to validate at the end of every level before you can progress to the next level?
That is correct. The VPE
All right.
needs to, and this is a potential sticking point with the clubs, because Toastmasters sends an email to the email address that is on file for the club. Now, if that email address is not the VPE, then they won't get it. Or if it's not sent to an email address that everybody, officers have access to, they may not get it right away.
Right.
The club, my home club, as it was currently set up, the email address was actually sent to the treasurer, who is the contact person for the club. They have since changed that, so now the VPE is getting the emails directly so that he can go in and take care of everything, because the treasurer did not have access to Basecamp Manager, couldn't approve it, so I couldn't go on to the next level. There is a quick way to find out what address is on file for your club. Remember earlier we searched for club members? Now I just typed in club into the search field, and it's showing me club 1360, which is the club number for New Horizons. When I click on that profile under the email, that is the email address that all of the level completion emails will be sent to. Now in this case, it is actually the VPE, whereas previously it was a different address. So that is how you can check to see which email is on file for your club, so that you know who is going to be getting those notifications, and then you'll know who to let know to change the address if that's the case.
Yes. I guess they're having some challenges if the president or secretary is stepping in or helping out as well.
Yes, there's a suggestion of handling that in many different ways, about setting up an email that automatically forwards to the various officers. There's been some discussion about this, and it seems to be more or less up to the club trying to figure out which method is going to work best to get the email to a person so they can check it off. Because if that checkoff doesn't happen, then the member cannot continue on to the next level.
Right.
Okay. Philip wants me to go through that again. Was that the search for the club email address or the process of completion? Probably the process of completion, now that I think about it. The email address. Okay, how to figure that out. Once you are logged into Basecamp, no matter where you are, in the upper right-hand corner is the search box. If you start typing club, in this case, it doesn't give it to me. Well, I'm going to type club members, and is it going to search? It's spinning. Oh, well, I'm already looking at the club profile, so that's probably why it didn't want to give it to me. So now that I don't have a club profile up, I'm going to type club. See, now it's not going to give it to me. I love there. No, it didn't like that at all. Oh no. members. Okay, so we're going to do club members. I'm going to switch to people. Click search. There it is. Okay, so typing club member, switching to people. There's a profile that is all caps club and then the number. That is the profile for the club. Once you click on that profile, the email address, that is the email address on file for the club. Not only will this person receive all of the level completion requests, this is also the email on file for TI, so that this person will receive emails from people that go to TI that are interested in coming to the club. It becomes the contact email address. So it gets level completions as well as prospective club members. It used to be that that was the only contact information came in from prospective club members, but now we have level completion requests because of pathways. Okay, excellent. We have any other questions? Going back to check the evaluation resource thing briefly. I'm just going to open up the first one I got here, active listening, to see if it gives me, and it does not. How interesting. Okay. Okay, question from Serena. What is the purpose of entering roles into your profile? If you click on your picture or the little picture symbol of yourself in the upper right-hand corner, it will take you to your profile. Under additional member, it lists out different roles and dates that are there. You can fill those in if you click on the gear icon and select My Account. You then get a drop down of the date for Awe Counter, General Evaluator, Grammarian, Speech Evaluator, etc. The purpose for these, as I see from reading through some of the communications back and forth, is primarily for the member just to track when they have done particular roles. There are some projects that require you to do certain roles. For example, level 1 under all of the paths has a requirement in the second project for you to evaluate a speech. Well, that ends up being your project, so you could actually come in here and enter the date for Speech Evaluator. This, as far as I know, is not tied to anything else except your own profile and is there for your reference so that you know when the last time you did a particular role was. I don't see that it's tied to any type of project completion or that it creates its own database like EasySpeak or some of the other role tracking software systems do.
Oh, that's interesting. I had heard that it was there so we could tie it into some of our projects and pathways, but it does not do that.
Well, it is there so that you can put the date in for when you did it, and then inside of the particular project, I'm going to try to go to the evaluation project real quick under Presentation Mastery. Step into level 1, evaluation and feedback. Once this opens, I don't believe, yeah, from recall, there's nowhere in here that you put in a date for when you did the role. What you do get is an evaluation form that you print out and give to someone. So I printed out the form and I gave it to my evaluator of my evaluation in the meeting. Yeah, and it says that's the after assessment. Yeah, and it gives me the evaluation resource for the first speech, the second speech, and then the evaluator. So I wrote the date of when I was the evaluator onto that one. The dates themselves are not tied in any way to this project or by tabbing through the project. I haven't seen that Pathways retains any type of completion date or project when you did a particular date inside of your transcript. There is a field that says due, but it's always going to say no due date. The explanation from Toastmasters International about that due and the no due date is that they're using a software platform that is often used for online universities that has this kind of due date aspect, but it hasn't been enabled, so it is never going to show any due date. It will always show no due date under due, but your status will update from in process to, or as in not activated to completed. And I do not know if they plan on tracking completion dates in the future or not. I do know that they have continued to update many different interactive bits about Pathways, and especially the Basecamp Manager since, well, since September, things have changed. And I imagine they're going to streamline it as they, as they figure out what works and as we keep going. Yeah, and Serena says, she likes to know when she did something as we go along and possibly repeat paths. It would be nice to track all of them. And I believe that's why they included that in the My Account function, the ability to track when you did a role so that you know which ones you did over time. And I can see just from looking at my list right here that I haven't done All-Counter, General Evaluator, or Grammarian, which is very correct. Or Topics Master in the last couple months at any of the 3 clubs that I've been in because I've been so busy speaking. Maybe I should do something else.
So if you put in a date for one of those items, though, like say you were general evaluator at your last meeting,
yes,
and then a month down the road you do GE again, doesn't that overwrite that previous date?
Yeah, then you would come in here and just put in a new date.
Okay.
Because you have a clear button on the right-hand side which takes the date out.
Okay.
So this appears to be primarily for individual tracking purposes.
All right. I guess I'm not so worried about what roles I had, but like when I completed project number 1 for this path, I'd like to know, oh, you completed project number 1 on, October 1st. And, oh, you completed project number 1 the second time you did that path, later. You know what I mean?
Yeah. I'm looking now. Whoa. I'm in Pathways Guide. I didn't want to be in Pathways Guide tasks. Apologies. I picked the wrong one. And I picked it again. Okay, educational transcripts. I want to look at presentation. As far as I know, the only way to find the date when you completed them would be to look at your evaluation forms, the date on which you were evaluated, if you've uploaded those to eProfile, or if you click on the level completion, the certificate has an issuing date. You can see I've opened up the certificate for level 2. Certificate was issued on 10/30 of 2017. So that lets me know that I completed all of level 2 yesterday. So that's where you could get a date reference. So between your evaluations, the certificate, and entering them manually into your own account system, That's how you could track those. Primarily what I've been using for my clubs and continue to use will be the Easy Speak or Free Toast Host or the other platforms that do club management, because they're much more designed to track the roles and figure out who's doing which, as opposed to the Basecamp Manager, which is primarily focused on your curriculum and helping you complete your projects. So they work in tandem with each other, as I see it, and as I've been working them myself. All right. We have a few minutes left. Are there any more questions? You guys have been wonderful. There's some great questions, and I love the fact that I got an error out of Kat's name. Let's see. Now, I know, Serena, you dipped out briefly when I did Kat's search. I was able to find her as a Pathways guide. So that's where she was logged in as. So she does exist. I had to close and then come back in to be able to find that. So she does exist. And once she switches from being a Pathways guide back to your club, you will be able to see her in a club search, and you can interact and send feedback that way. All right. Yes, and Kat does say that Free Toast Host keeps a record of all the roles that you've done, as well as inside of Easy Speak. Club management softwares keep track of those once they've been entered in, and those are the ones that I go back to if I want to find out when I did a particular role, as opposed to trusting my own memory in here. They work much better for me in that regard. All right. Well, thank you, everyone. We are at 7:52. I'm open to any other questions or, oh boy, yeah, I can feel it. Yep, I'm definitely sick. Woohoo! Maybe take a day off tomorrow. All right. Oh boy.
Well, thank you so much, James, for inviting us in and
Absolutely.
having some great information. It was very educational and informational. So I appreciate the opportunity to have attended your session.
Yeah, well, thank you very much. My schedule allows me that I'm doing these every Tuesday night at 7 p.m. or almost every one. I do have some other webinars that conflict with that. But about 3 out of 4 weeks during the month through the end of the year, I will be here 7 o'clock Tuesday evenings. And hopefully, if you didn't receive the invite directly, please feel free to send me an email and I can add you to the direct distribution list, because I know some people received the link to the meeting through someone else. So if you want to receive it directly, then by all means reply to my email address on that link, which is my last name and my first name, which is wantsjames@gmail.com. And I will put you on the distribution list so that you will get the direct invitation, just so that if somebody forgets to do the forward, you can still get in here. All right. Well, thank you very much for attending. I appreciated your time. And my cat didn't walk on the keyboard once, which is fantastic. And I hope you all have a wonderful Halloween evening. And I've heard nobody at the doorbell, which is even better.
Thanks, James.
Yes. So good night to one and all, and thank you.
Good night.